Okay, today I want to talk about fear as a business owner and in your business. And this is something that comes up so often, right? Fear like rears its ugly head when we least expect it. It might be you are avoiding doing something in your business because you're scared of the outcome or you're scared how somebody's going to react, right? Or it might be fear of taking the jump and doing something you haven't done before, right? And fear really is something that will crop up for you time and time and again as a business owner. And no matter what income level you're at, no matter how long you've been in business, you're gonna always have fear around doing certain things, right? Fear of the unknown, fear of something new, all of that kind of stuff. And there's a few strategies you can employ to really put fear in its place and not let it keep you from doing what you need to do and what you want to do in your business. And so that's what I really wanted to talk about today, is to give you guys a couple of tools to add to your tool belt to make sure that you're not letting fear stop you from doing what you know you need to do or what you want to do in your business. So the next time you're feeling some fear around something, and it's also really important to just take a beat, and when you're feeling resistance to doing something, look at that really objectively and try to figure out, is this resistance I'm feeling, is that because of fear, right? So if you're really procrastinating on doing something, don't want to do something, take a look at, is that because I'm scared? And once you identify that you are scared and you have that fear, you can use some really great little tricks to help you to kind of put that fear in its place. And one thing that I really like to do is this thing that my amazing coach, Lacey Seitz, taught me to do with fear, and that is rating your fear. And so rate your fear based on, how much am I feeling this fear? How big does this fear feel? And if my fear actually came true, what would be the negative impact on my business? And you're rating this, so it's like a rating of 1 to 10. And so you might say, okay, I'm really scared to increase my prices because I don't know if my current clients will leave me. I don't know if I'll be able to get new clients, okay? And so my fear that I'm feeling around that is like an 8, right? It feels so big, it feels so scary, it feels like doing this thing could really mean the end of my business, right? So you might be feeling an 8 around that fear. But actually raising your prices, and objectively we know that's not going to happen. You're never going to be able to get a client again, all those things, but that's okay. But if you're thinking about, okay, if I did that thing, if I raised my prices and my current clients left me and I was struggling to get new clients, what would be the negative impact level for my business? That might be a 5, right? Or a 6, right? And so you can kind of first of all see, okay, my fear level is higher than the actual negative impact on my business. And then what you can also do is look at, what is the actual negative impact on my business? And what can I do to prevent that thing from happening, to ensure that that negative outcome does not happen? And you can kind of play around with this a little bit, because if the actual negative impact is only like, say, a 1 or a 2 or a 3, it's kind of putting that into perspective, that your fear is feeling so much bigger than the actual potential negative outcome, right? And so that kind of helps you to put your level of fear into perspective, so it doesn't feel so big, so it doesn't feel so like this big scary thing. You can really recognize, okay, my fear is bigger than the potential negative outcome, right? But if you're getting into a situation where, yeah, your fear is high, it's an 8, and the potential negative impact is also pretty high, okay, what do we need to do around that? Is raising my prices not the right thing? Or what can I do to ensure that that doesn't happen and still have the same outcome of raising my prices. Well, maybe you're stepping your prices, right? So maybe you're not increasing your prices for your current clients, but all new clients are getting a price increase. Maybe you increase your price for, the next 2 clients get $100 more a month. And then after that, the next 2 after that get $200 more a month, right? And you can step your increase in pricing. But doing this activity and really rating your fear and the actual potential negative impact on your business is so powerful and so great, because you can really start to look at and see, okay, is the amount of fear I'm feeling around this thing really valid? Or am I feeling more fear than there actually is here? Another really great strategy that I like to use with my coaching clients around fear is let yourself go through that spiral, right? We all have experienced the fear spiral of, well, if this happens, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, and you start to get into that spiral of you're just freaking out and everything is going horrible, right? And when we're doing mindset work with my coaching clients, we really, I help them to learn to recognize when that spiral is about to happen. Your feelings are valid, that's okay, but then also learning to really set that aside and not let it affect what you're actually doing, your actual actions, right? But another great thing is if you're feeling fear, sometimes it's really helpful to calmly go through that. Okay, my fear of leaving my full-time job to run my, business full-time, what's the worst that could happen if I did that? I can't get enough clients right away and I'm not making as much money as I want to make. Okay, if that happened, what's the worst that could happen? Well, I can't pay my bills. Okay, if I can't pay my bills, what's the worst that could happen? I get evicted, right? Okay, what's the worst that could happen if you get evicted? I become homeless, right? And really push through. Don't freak out. Just push through really realistically all of those things, because then what you can do is you can sit down and say, okay, if the worst that could happen happens, what can I do to fix that? What can I do to make sure that doesn't happen? And what you're doing, this is super, athletes do this and performers do this. It's literally picturing in your mind, going through the process, going through the steps, and planning in your mind for the worst. Because if you are planning for the worst, realistically, the worst is not really going to happen very often, right? But if it does, you feel really confident that you're prepared, that you know what to do to prevent the worst from happening. Or if the worst happens, you know what you need to do, right? To fix it, or to, move in the right direction, not let you take you down, right? And this is so important also because for my type A people, for my people who like to be prepared, for my people who are perfectionists, who like to know every answer, every step in the process, this is really helpful because you're empowering yourself to be ready just in case the worst is happening. And oftentimes, when you're doing this fear exercise, you might realize oh, that's really not gonna happen, right? That's actually, realistically, that is most likely not gonna happen, right? And so not only does it put this, what's the worst that could happen, it puts those things into perspective a little bit so you can get a feel for, okay, would the worst actually happen, or is that really unrealistic, right? Am I doomsdaying this? And it can also really set you up to feel confident and prepared just in case the worst does happen. And this really allows you to move forward, go where you need to go, continue to focus on what you need to focus on without being scared all the time and without letting that fear stop you from doing what you want to do, right? From making the improvements and the strides and the growth and the scaling in your business that you really want to make. And so I think that these tools are super, super helpful when you find that you are feeling fear around a thing and that fear is stopping you. It's preventing you from doing what you know that you need to do to get to the next step, to achieve your goals, right? So the next time you find yourself feeling resistant to doing something that you know you really need to do or you really want to do, sit down, think about, is this because I'm feeling fear around this thing? Go through your fear rating exercise, and then go through that what's the worst that could happen, what's the worst that could happen exercise. And that's really going to put it into perspective for you. So I hope this was really helpful, and I'll see you next time.